We have not inherited this earth from our forefathers, but we have borrowed this from our children. According to this line, the earth is not our asset but our liability, which we have to return after some years to our children. But aren't we understanding this? We are using, overusing and misusing the earth. As asked by Brunt Commission, are we to leave our successors the hot planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes and ailing planet? This is the biggest proof that we are not taking care of this borrowed earth. Hence, the results will be that the fisheries collapse, forests disappear, grasslands are converted into barren wastelands and cropland deteriorate. For our children, if we do not preserve fossil fuels, a time may come when firewood will be too expensive. Then the fire below the pot is more costly than the food inside this. This famous quote is from the chapter The Ailing Planet by Nani Palkhiwala's. The quote is of Lester Brown. Mr. Brown is appealing to the people of the world to take care of the health of the planet and treat it respectfully so that it can be bequeathed to the coming generation in good condition. By this quote, he means we are the responsible trustees of the world and have to hand it over to the coming generation in a very good condition, not as a degraded and polluted planet. Good afternoon students, welcome to SST So Simple tutorial. Today we will take three topics: BMI, HDI and sustainability of development. Let us start body mass index. One way to find out if adults are undernourished is to calculate what nutrition scientists call body mass index. How to calculate body mass index? Take the weight of the person in kg, then take the height in meters, divide the weight by the square of the height. If it is less than 18.5, then the person is considered underweight. If the BMI is found to be more than 25, then the person is overweight. If the BMI is between 18.5 and 25, he is normal. This criterion is not applicable to growing children. What is the importance of BMI? BMI is important as it is widely regarded that your chances of having a longer and healthier life are improved if you have a healthy BMI. The WHO lists a high BMI as a major risk factor for heart diseases, stroke, bone and joint problems, including osteoarthritis. Now let us come to the next subtopic, Human Development Report. Once we realize that even though income is important and yet an inadequate measure of the level of development, we begin to think of other criterion. There could be a long list of such criterion, but then it would not be useful. What we need is a small number of important things. Health and educational indicators such as those used in comparison of Haryana and Kerala are among some. Over the past decade or so, health and education indicators have come to be widely used, along with income as a measure of development. This is a slide of UNDP, United Nations Development Programme. It is the United Nations Global Development Network. It advocates for change and connects countries to knowledge, experience and resources to help people build a better life for themselves. This organization operates in 177 countries. The UNDP publishes an annual Human Development Report since 1990 to measure and analyze developmental process. In its report, it compares countries based on educational level of people, their health status and per capita income, and ranks the country on the basis of level of development called Human Development Index. Calculation of index combines life expectancy for health, mean years of schooling for education and gross national income per capita for standard of living. Let's now see table 1.6. It shows some data from Human Development Report of India and its neighbor for 2017. It is surprising here to see that a small country like Sri Lanka is much ahead of India in every respect, and a big country like ours has such a low rank? Are you sitting with your textbook? Please note the ranking of India. It may be a 1-mark question. Also, Nepal and Bangladesh have low per capita income than that of India. Yet they are better than India in life expectancy. Watch the table properly. You may get a 3 marks question to compare India and Sri Lanka on the basis of HDI, where you will have to mention the differences in per capita income, life expectancy and mean years of schooling with correct figures. Let's now start our last topic, sustainability of development. Students, in the process of development, resources get used up. These resources are of two types, as you all know, renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources get replenished by nature, for example, water on rivers and lakes, etc. Non-renewable resources are available in fixed stock and do not get replenished, for example, crude oil, coal, etc. Since the second half of the 20th century, a number of scientists are warning that the present type and the level of development are not sustainable, which means that the way we are exploiting our resources, development is not going to sustain for long. Sustainable development requires that we make use of available resources, both renewable and non-renewable, in such a way that economic development should take place without damaging the environment, number one. Number two, economic development in the present time should not compromise on the needs of the future generation. Look at example 1, groundwater in India. The groundwater is under threat of overuse in many parts of the country. About 300 districts have reported a water level decline of over 4 meters during the last 20 years. Nearly 1/3 of the country is overusing their groundwater reserves. It is particularly more in agriculturally prosperous regions of Punjab, Western UP. Can you think of ways of how to prevent overuse? Those crops that require less water should be promoted. Groundwater should be replenished by adopting various water harvesting techniques. Sources of irrigation such as canals, lakes need to be developed. Let us now see the story of crude oil. As you know, crude oil is the raw material for petroleum products. Petroleum and related products constitute the basic raw material for many basic and key industries in our economy. Let us see example 2, table 1.7. This table gives an estimate of the reserves of crude oil. It tells us how many years the stock of crude oil will last if people continue to extract it at the present rate. With this, I would like to close the class for today. Let us see what we discussed today. First, BMI is a health indicator. It tells us whether a person is underweight or overweight. Also, in other words, undernourished or overnourished. A person with high BMI is prone to heart problems or joint problems. So, in order to lead a healthy life, one needs to have a healthy BMI. Then we read about HDI. It is a ranking of countries on the basis of their level of development. It includes life expectancy, mean years of schooling and per capita income. Lastly, we discussed the sustainability of development, giving a kind consideration to the environment as well as the future generation. While keeping pace with the present development, we must think of sustainable development now. Students, now you should be able to answer these questions. 1. What is body mass index? It is one way to find out if adults are undernourished. It is calculated by dividing the weight of the person in kg by the square of its height in meters. If the figure is less than 18.5, then the person would be considered as undernourished. If the figure is more than 25, then the person is overweight. If it lies between 18.5 and 25, it means the person has a normal weight. 2. In what respects is the criterion used by the UNDP for measuring development differs from the one used by the World Bank. The UNDP compares countries based on their educational level of people, their health status, and per capita income, whereas the criteria used by the World Bank is per capita income only. You have already read how World Bank classifies countries as rich or poor. 3. Which do you think is a better method and why? The criterion used by UNDP is a better method because it is a wider indicator in which besides per capita income, health and education is also included. 4. What do you mean by HDI? What are its three parameters? HDI is a tool to measure a country's overall achievement in its social and economic dimensions. The HDI ranks countries on the basis of per capita income, health of the people, their level of education and their standard of living. Question number 5. What is the importance of HDI? HDI is important because it indicates the level of development of a country. It indicates to a country how far it has travelled and how far it has yet to travel to achieve a higher rank. Through it, one comes to know the important elements of social and economic welfares like life expectancy, level of education attainment, and the real per capita income. 6. Why is literacy essential for development? Most of the illiterate people are engaged in primary and unorganized sector, so their earning is very low. Literacy gives knowledge and skill. Literacy gives the ability to implement modern technology. 7. What is sustainable development? Sustainability of development signifies that the level of economic development of a country should be maintained in all the years. Development in the present should not compromise with the needs of the future generation. 8. Why is the issue of sustainability important for development? 1. It cares for the needs of future generation. 2. It promotes efficient use of natural resources. And 3. It lays special emphasis on environmental protection. Now read the book and then watch the video again. You will find yourself in a better understanding level. This is also development. In the next class, I shall continue with this lesson. Till then, happy reading. Thank you.